Hey guys, so a few weeks ago I made a video and I said I know Joe Biden is lying when he said Pope Francis said you're a good Catholic, Joe, keep taking communion. And I said I know he was lying because his lips were moving. And I didn't say that sarcastically. I said it because I've been watching this guy for 40 years. I've been a political nerd since I'm about 12. And this guy is a compulsive liar. He's your stereotypical corrupt, lying politician in every sense of the word. And I gave a couple examples about how, he had to drop out of his first presidential campaign in the 80s because they caught him plagiarizing another politician, like word for word. He stole the speech. Then his second campaign, he had to drop out because... he gets very defensive when, anybody questions him. And this reporter questioned him about something. And he's like, you're just a reporter. What's your educational level? I'm sure it ain't what I got. I graduated top of my class in law school. Well, that lawyer went to his law school and found out not only did he lie, he did not finish at the top of the class. He barely passed. He finished at the bottom of his class. So it's not only that he lies, but it's the way he lies that I could tell he's lying. And I'm just going to run through a couple quick, recent examples. If I did everything in his career, I would be here for days. I mean, because, like I said, when Joe Biden's lips are moving, he's lying. I'm telling you. So, here, just recently, he's at a union truck driving place. And he's talking to one of the union truck drivers. He's like, oh, yeah, I used to drive an 18-wheeler. I'm actually watching this live, and I'm like, this guy just cannot help himself. And the truck driver even said, really? You drove an 18-wheeler? He goes, yeah, you got to do what you got to do when you got kids. Like trying to talk like a blue-collar guy that he never was. So when a reporter asked Jen Psaki the next day, she's like, well, he meant he drove in an 18-wheeler. Back when he was a senator, he went to a place that built tractor trailers, and he drove in one as a passenger. And then... talking to friendly media again, they threw him a softball and said, hey, a lot of people are saying, you need to go to the border. We know you're busy saving the world, Mr. President, but you think you'll ever get a chance to go to the border? He's like, oh, I've been to the border. And he's like, you've been to the border? He's like, yeah, I know the border well. The next day, Jen Psaki's got to clarify. Well, what he meant was he drove past the border. And then if you look into it, it was like 100 miles past it when he was on the campaign for Obama back in 10 years ago, whatever. Then there's not one general opposed my plan of leaving Afghanistan the way we did. The next day, every general that advised him said, no, we opposed his plan. Then again, talking to friendly media, George Stephanopoulos, former campaign manager for Bill Clinton, one of the Democrats' best campaign strategists, now plays a part of an ABC anchor. And he said, Mr. President, you're saying all troops are going to be Afghanistan August 31st. What if there are Americans left behind? Will you leave? He's like, no, we will not leave until every American is out. We will not leave one American behind. Well, a week later, they left hundreds. And the reports are saying maybe over 1,000 Americans he knowingly left behind, which it should be 24/7 nonstop news. That's all the news should be talking about if the news had any integrity. But they don't. They're just the Democrat propaganda arm of the party, the Democrat Party. That's all mainstream media is these days. It's disgusting. Then he was asked, Mr. President, don't you think giving illegal immigrants $450,000 apiece for the pain and suffering of being separated from their family is going to give more illegal immigrants incentivize crossing the border? He's like, well, if you keep reporting that garbage news. And the reporter said, oh, so it's not true? He goes, no, it's not true. And the next day, the ACLU came out and said it is true. They've been negotiating with the Justice Department. Maybe the president don't know what's going on. And Jen Psaki said, well, yeah, the president knows what he's going on because he didn't want to make him look like he's not in control. He said what he was disputing was the number 450. Well, it turns out the number is more like 440 per person who illegally crossed the border. And think about this for a second. If an American soldier gets killed in battle, his family gets $400,000. not 400,000 per family member. So people who break into our country illegally are thrown into jail. That's what we do. You break the law, you're thrown into jail. Well, we're not going to throw your 7-year-old kid in jail with you, so we're going to find a foster parent somewhere safely, but it's called separating. And the pain and suffering you got being separated from your family, everyone in your family is going to get $440,000. So if you're a family of 5, you're going to get over $2 million. So this guy lies, and every time he lies, he says it like you're crazy, or makes himself look, just the way he lies. Like, oh yeah, the Pope said I'm a good Catholic. I should keep taking communion. So am I going to believe that liar, a proven liar, his entire political career? And I can go on for hundreds of proven lies this man has said. A corrupt politician who became president on the backs of murdered unborn babies. Or am I going to believe the leader of my church, who many of us disagree with him politically, but he's the Pope of our church, and there's been a lot of things said about him that have been proven untrue. And it always goes down the same way. The way I see it, when I first came back to the Catholic Church, not long after, I remember this atheist news publisher, some Italian newspaper, had a private interview with Pope Francis. He comes out and says, Pope Francis says there's no such thing as hell. Hell doesn't exist. I Google this guy and I see that his newspaper is like equivalent to the National Enquirer, and he's always telling fanciful lies. But everyone's like, well, if it's not true, why doesn't Pope Francis say it's not true? I'm like, he's the Pope of the Catholic Church. Everybody knows he believes in hell. Come on. Like, really? And he never said nothing. But if that wasn't enough for my fellow Catholics, think about this. Within a month after that, I believe it was, he was talking to the mafia. The mafia was like killing people like crazy in Italy. And he told them, if you guys don't repent, you're going to hell. You're going to spend eternity in hell. You're committing mortal sins. And he sounded like he believed in hell. So publicly, he's saying there is a hell. But supposedly, privately, to an atheist who doesn't believe in hell, who has a proven track record of lying his whole life, who am I going to believe? Same thing with this homosexual who said, oh, in private, he told me, a homosexual marriage is a blessing. And then he comes out shortly after that. The church cannot bless homosexual marriage because the church cannot bless sin. Then I hear rumors, oh, he's going to allow gay priests. This is early on, like 6-7 years ago when I was, coming back to the Catholic Church. And then I had to read a report in the most liberal newspaper saying, this Pope isn't woke. He's more conservative than Pope Benedict. And they quote him, and I looked it up, and he really said this to a group of Italian bishops. You have to be very careful. It's dangerous to allow homosexuals into the priesthood. Even if they have a hint of femininity, don't let them in. It's not worth taking the risk, even if they tell you they're not. Look out for signs. Don't let them in. So am I going to believe the rumors that I'm hearing, or am I going to believe the Pope himself? Like he actually said this. Then I'm hearing all these rumors he's going to allow women priests. And he comes out and he gives the strictest punishment of any pope in recent history. If you ordain a woman priest, you will be anathema. What's the word? Excommunicated, I'm sorry. And that woman will be excommunicated. Like, pretty harsh. So I'm like, what I hear about him and what he says are two different things. Now, a lot of people are like, well, there's a lot of other stuff he never came out publicly and said against. And that's just not his style for whatever reason. Is it humility? I think it is. I mean, I just made a video a couple nights ago about Dr. Scott Hahn. Some dude made a book just ripping him apart, mischaracterizing him. And all of us that love Scott Hahn's books and learned so much and read his books and heard him on YouTube, and I had him live on my show. Well, Zoom wasn't live, we recorded it, but I actually talked to him and corresponded with him on emails. I knew that book was a bunch of lies, and everybody watching it was a bunch of lies. And I said in my video, knowing Scott Hahn, he's not gonna say nothing. And to me, it's an act of humility. And I gave the example of Jesus. When the Jews were accusing Jesus of all these blasphemies, And the governor said, aren't you going to defend yourself? Jesus didn't even answer. He said nothing, because he was more concerned about doing God's will and not what everybody else was saying he was doing wrong. And, you know, we could disagree with Pope Francis, and I do, on like political issues. I'm an economic conservative as well as a social conservative. He seems to be a social conservative, but not so much an economic conservative. Am I surprised? I mean, I grew up in the freest, most capitalistic society, and I seen the fruits of freedom and capitalism. He grew up in South America, where they claimed they were capitalists, but there were corrupt politicians running things with oligarchs, you know? So his view of capitalism is going to be different than mine. So I'm not surprised we disagree. But on the essentials of the faith, I know we agree. You know, St. Augustine said on the essentials, there must be unity. On the non-essentials, liberty, and all things charity. Now, so I am convinced that Joe Biden lied. Pope Francis didn't say nothing, and Joe Biden lied. Now, I have a guest coming. His name is Jules Gomez. He's the Vatican correspondent for Church Militant. And there's a good possibility he disagrees with me. But we have freedom in Christ to disagree, you know. And I welcome his view. He's closer to the Vatican than me, so maybe I'll learn something, you know. I've only been back to the church 6 years. Sometimes that's a plus because everything's fresh to me. Maybe someone who's been a cradle Catholic, never left the faith, been faithful to the Catholic Church, but maybe forgot what they were taught in catechism. So I'm giving them the basics, you know. But I'm not too involved in church politics and what's going on in the Vatican. This guy lives in Rome. That's why it's been a long time coming. We actually, we were going to do it after I interviewed Michael Voris before Donald Trump, before the last election. We were talking about Trump. And, but he lives in Rome and I live in Orlando. So it's a 6-hour difference. And at the time I couldn't do any videos on the weekend because I need my son to help me when we're recording. And he was working the weekend. So now he's off on the weekend. So I contacted Church Millitant. I said, hey, I would love to do that interview. And he said, yeah, I'm down. So Saturday, December 11th, I'm going to have Church Militant's Vatican correspondent, Jules Gomez. And not only are we going to talk about things that are going on in the Vatican, but I'm really interested in his awakening as an Anglican priest and his coming home to Rome. I should be real interested to hear his story on that end. And, you know, a lot of people think, you know, it's a kind of odd friendship. You know, I had Michael Voris on here. It was my most watched video by far. And this guy is such a professional. He gave the best political analysis, bar none, on like TV, YouTube. This guy had the best political analysis. You know, check out that show if you haven't seen it, Michael Voris. And it was really good. Like I said, it was my most watched interview ever. And, you know, people might say, well, you're always defending the Pope and he's always attacking the Pope. But I don't see it that way, and I don't think he sees it that way. I'm defending the Pope from the Protestants that don't even think, they think the Pope's the Antichrist. He's holding the Pope accountable because he knows the Pope was appointed by God. It's a big difference in attacking and defending. You see what I'm saying? So we have different experiences. We have different gifts. We have different callings. But I know personally, Michael Voris is a godly man who loves the Lord. You know, my granddaughter Ivory just passed away. And about a year ago, right after that interview, she got really sick. And we thought it was going to be the end there because we were told she had a short life. And she was showing all the signs and the doctor was saying this could be it. And I reached out to my brothers and sisters at Church Millitant and asked them to pray for Ivory. And they sent me the most beautiful card, and they told me they offered up 2 masses for her. And if I need anything, you know, let them know. And I believe those 2 masses got her better. She got better, and God gave her another year, gave us the gift of having her another year. And I spoke to Michael on the phone, and again, he's the real deal. He truly loves the Lord. He truly loves the church. And, you know, he has a special gift, you know, that I don't have. I have a different gift. We have different gifts. And so it may seem like he's attacking and I'm defending, but we both want what's best for our church. We want to make the church great again. You know, it sounds corny, but we both have that desire. But we have, like I said, we have different styles and we have different callings. And But I'm excited to have a member of that great organization, Church Militant, Vatican correspondent. This should be really interesting. And, you know, maybe he'll change my mind. Maybe I'll change his mind. We're going to have a conversation, brother to brother, you know, and, you know, I'm really looking forward to it. You should be too. December 11th, Jules Gomez from Church Militant. God bless, stay Catholic, and if you're buying or selling real estate, go to realestateforlife.org and tell them Blue Collar Catholic sent you.